Alright, so the focus of this video will be on acceleration, and again, but this time we're going to be really focusing on what acceleration looks like on a graph and talking about the sign or direction of acceleration. Okay, so on this position graph, there's two places where acceleration occurs: between A and B and between C and D. Between which of those places would you say the acceleration is negative? Acceleration is going to be negative between C and D because we have a positive velocity that is decreasing to 0. Okay, between A and B it's increasing. We have a 0 velocity that increases to some positive value. If we were to construct a velocity graph for this position graph, it would look something like this. So between A and B we have an increasing velocity, so it goes from 0 to some positive value. It stays constant until about 8 seconds, at which it slows to a stop. And that would be like the velocity graph. If we were to graph the acceleration for this first chunk right there, it has positive slope, that means positive acceleration, so we'd have that chunk right there. From here to there, that's 0 slope, so 0 acceleration. And then this final part right here, we have negative slope, so it is negative acceleration. We're going to go a little bit deeper here, looking at how these graphs change depending on what our velocity is. Okay, and so if we have positive acceleration on an acceleration graph, just say we have some constant positive acceleration. Okay, on a velocity graph, that's going to look like an increasing velocity. Okay, it says velocity is positive. Okay, and we have acceleration. So something like that. On a position graph, if we start with a positive velocity, that means that we already have a positive slope at the beginning. Then, if we have positive acceleration, that means that the slope is going to get steeper, so that it's going to look something like this. So we started positive and got more and more positive. In this next scenario, we have a positive velocity and a negative acceleration. Negative acceleration can look like this. Okay, if you have positive velocity but there's negative acceleration, that means you're going to be slowing down. Okay, and there could be a version of this where you slow to a stop and turn the other way, depending how you want to look at it. So if we start with a positive velocity but have a negative acceleration, we're going up but slowing down. Then if you want to go past 0, then go negative the other way, it might continue on like that. For this next example, we have a positive velocity, but we start with a positive acceleration but start with a negative velocity. So it's going to start down here negative but get more positive. Okay, and that's because we have the positive acceleration, so it's going to go to 0. So if velocity starts negative and is going to 0, it might look something like that. And then if you want to continue it beyond 0 like that into the positive, we might have it turning around and going the other way. Finally, with a negative acceleration and a negative velocity, it might look something like that. On a position graph, we have a negative velocity to start, and it gets more negative, so it's going to curve down. Okay, and so here's several examples of how changing the conditions of our velocity is going to affect the position graph, and so acceleration could look like a lot of different things. And there's one particular example of this that I want to mention before we wrap this video up. When you're in an elevator, you start from rest, your speed increases, you move at a constant speed for some period of time, and then you slow to a stop, okay? And this is maybe like when you're going up to the top floor. And then maybe when you're riding down from the top, you start from rest, you increase your velocity, move at a constant speed, then slow to a stop. Okay? So let's say that you're standing in an elevator. Okay? And you're holding an accelerometer, maybe on your cell phone. Alright, we'll talk about that in class, but your cell phone has an accelerometer you can use to measure things. Next time you go to the amusement park and go on rides, you should turn on your accelerometer and measure the acceleration. But let's say that the reading on your accelerometer is negative. Okay? If the reading on the accelerometer on your phone is negative, telling you have a negative acceleration, we'll say that up is positive. What does that tell you about what part of the trip you're on? What's going on at the moment that you have a negative acceleration? Okay, there's a couple answers here, because we don't know if we're moving up or down. We know that up is positive, but we don't know if our velocity is positive or negative. We just know we have negative acceleration. So the two instances when we have negative acceleration is when we're here at the top and we're slowing down. So when we're slowing to a stop here, we have negative acceleration, because our velocity is positive, our acceleration is negative, causing us to slow down. However, in this case, we have a negative velocity and a negative acceleration because it's causing our velocity to get more negative. So this would be the other instance where there is a negative acceleration.